just want to share a little bit about this new capsule collection that I'm creating, and I'm really excited about it because it's introducing part of my graphic design background. Normally with Mercy Creates, I get to do graphic design work with like the business cards, thank you cards, the web design, that type of work, but I haven't really integrated it a lot into the collections. So I created a rough draft case study background. These are artboards in Illustrator that just house everything that I have so far. Hoping to pretty it up a little bit, but for right now, I'll be able to share with you how I went from the concept to the actual creation. Forgive me if you hear any of the studio dogs in the background. We just went outside for a play break, and it's the afternoon, and who knows how they're gonna sound after playing in the backyard. So this is artboard 1, slide 1 of my case study, and this is the concept. This is the original artwork that I created. You can see it's all watercolor. There's some gold leafing here and there, and this was the verse from Isaiah, I believe it was, that I wanted to originally have on here. Now you can see that it works, but it kind of doesn't work because the gold leaf is, pretty sporadic. Like it's there, but it's not really doing anything. Also to note, this was scanned. I scanned in the artwork, so you'll see even with the gold leafing, it's the light reflecting off of it, bouncing off of it, and that's why it looks even grainier right here than if I were to photograph it. Now going back to the actual piece, the artwork, I really liked the concept of it. I liked all of the colors. I like the technique that I did, the flowers, everything. I even like that you can see some of the pencil markings in it. I think that gives it just a fun creative touch. I know some of the greats did it, and I'm not trying to be part of one of them and be classified as one of them, but if you're heavy-handed with a pencil, then it just happens and you can't erase it. Now the verse here works, but it also doesn't work because it's running into the artwork and the painting. I'm not really utilizing the space as well as I can. And this is often what I tell, whoops, just got an email. This is often what I tell students in watercolor foundations and in other artistic endeavors, is that you really need to plan out what you're doing before you do it. And you can tell that I tried to plan it out and I thought it was going okay. You can see the pencil marks in there, but the brush it wasn't cooperating. It wasn't working. It wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So I actually shelved this piece. I put it in the archives. It's been in my portfolio case for a while because I didn't like how it was working out. And it was fine. I mean, it's hard to do that because you work hard on a piece and you want to see it succeed, but sometimes what you create just doesn't work, especially at the last step, and that's always hard. But instead of throwing away, I just put it in my portfolio, let it hang out there for another time when I had capacity to deal with it. So that's the original piece that I created. And now, because I wanted to use it for a different collection, I brought it into Photoshop and really cleaned it up. You can see that I got rid of the gold leafing areas, brightened it up a little bit, contrasted. I upped the contrast, so the dark spots are a little bit darker, the light spots are a little bit lighter, and I got rid of all of the verse here in the middle. I wanted to keep this extra space for the new verse that I wanted to paint. So here's the old version with the color and with the gold leafing and the verse, and here's my newer, updated, clean canvas version of the artwork. Now, I had a verse in mind for what I wanted to put in here. I really, really am encouraged and love the verse 2 Corinthians 5:17. Behold, the old is gone and the new creation has come. So I knew that I wanted to put that one in here, but I didn't want to repeat the same mistake that I did before of just putting down a verse and it, messes up the inside of the frame. It doesn't work as well. The cohesion, the layout is just not jiving like it was in this previous artwork. So if you can see here, these lines is the tracing of the inside, the window part of the flower frame. So now I know how much space I need to do, or how much space I have, where I need the where I need the layout to be. It gives me a better idea of the composition, what words need to go where. Something I like to do is write out words several times in several different ways and styles. You can see that new was a weird word for me to figure out. Creation was also a weird word for me to paint and figure out. So I'll do it several times and bring that all into Photoshop to be able to figure out which is the best one, which one works. If I need to substitute any letters, any other words, then that's the place and time that I'll do it. I also painted additional floral elements to add to the painting. So I tried to match the colors as best as I could, and I tried to match the style as best as I could, but I wanted to bring in some extra elements and separate them so that I can use these isolated objects and place them within this frame or anywhere else if I needed to create something extra to the piece. So with this collection, I knew that I wanted it to be both handwritten and painted. I wrote out the verse with my regular handwriting, scanned it in. This is the full passage pencil, I think, or pen. And again, you can see I like to write the same word 3 or 4 times, 2 or 3 times, several times, whatever I need to do. If I don't like how I originally wrote it, I'll write it 2 or 3 more times and then bring it into Photoshop and edit. I also wrote the passage out in Procreate. So I used the Apple Pencil, used my iPad, put it on a grid and reworked it because I just wasn't sure which style I would like more. My pencil pen handwritten version or the digital Procreate version. Now that I had all of the elements together, the cleaned up painting, all the elements, additional painting elements, and the new text, and I knew how the new text was supposed to fit, I fused them together. So here's the artwork. Again, I added the art, added a background. This has a bit of a canvas paper texture, similar to what I use in my prints. So even though it's it's a physical and digital creation, I still want to give it as much of that Mercy Creates flair that I can when it comes to the prints. And then here's all the assets and the verse. So I pulled it together, edited it, and here it is. So here's the new layout verse, and here is the back with the extra elements and assets that I created. And I believe there are a few pieces here and there that I think I like. It's called a stamp clone. I stamped, cloned, and took from the original painting, but I wanted to fill it in because I knew that I wanted to use it for a notebook, so I needed a front cover and a back cover. So now that the concept was finished, finalized, created, accepted, approved, I started putting it out into the products. These are all the mock-ups of the products that I have. I'm in the process of photographing them, so there's like a real life version of the products. But here's the notebook mock-up. So you can see that that paper texture, that extra texture that I added, it helps give it that extra differentiation because here's the page and the page is white. However, I wanted to make sure that the painting texture and the painting background matches similar to what I print for my art prints in-house. The paper isn't a pure white, it's actually a little bit of an off-white cream, which mimics some of the watercolor paper that I use. So this is the notebook mock-up. It has the full passage, just copy and pasted in Playfair display. That's the font. I didn't write it out in the inside cover. That might be an option for a future time, but for this one I just wanted to make sure it was, legible and it worked. And then the back cover and the inside back cover, which is Mercy Creates, QR code for a discount if you're not already a VIP, and the different credits that I need to get for how the product was made. Now that I had everything like a high-res JPEG. I had some of the elements pulled out. I know the colors. I know what I'm doing. I started putting that artwork onto other size products. Now, if you remember, this is a pretty, like it's pretty tall. Because of that, when I go into other products and dimensions, I have to accommodate for that. So here's a notepad that I created, and you can see it's not fully going to fit. The painting isn't. I had to separate it for a top area and for a bottom area, but I also needed to make sure that whatever artwork I put into this notepad, you still had enough space and it wasn't going to be awkward writing a note. You know, you want to make sure that you have what you need. You want the item to do its job, and the primary use of a notepad is to take notes and to write notes. So I had to make sure that even though I was putting this artwork, it had to look nice. You could tell that they were flowers and leaves, but there still was plenty of space for you to write your groceries and write stuff down. The next product I created was a greeting card. So I wanted to follow the same rhythm and the same pattern as the notebook. Front cover, full artwork in verse. Back cover with the Mercy Create sign off. However, as I was figuring out the mock-ups, I just didn't like it. I didn't like how it was looking, how it was signing off. So I nixed this back cover, and the greeting card only has the solid color reference and sign off for the company. And I like how it came out. I got the sample back. Everything looks really nice. This was a good decision. It was nice for the notebook, but it didn't work for the greeting card. I think it's because it's too small in size. The pattern and the print would just overwhelm that small of a piece. Now this, I sized the artwork to accommodate 3 different canvas sizes. So this is an 11 by 14, a 16 by 20, and an 18 by 24. And you can see each one, the challenge was that it needed to include as much of the artwork as possible. However, because it's a vertical piece, you know, you're squishing it to make it a little bit more horizontal, but you don't want it to look so squished that everything is distorted, but you also need to make sure it fits the right sizes. So this was a little bit more challenging, and you can see here in the edges, on the sides, there might be more information as we're going up in size. This is part of the ratio game and the math when it comes to design work, is that when you create your initial art and your product, it's best if it can be in, you know, sizable formats. So if my original art was an 8 by 10, the 16 by 20 would be no issue. But it worked out because your girl knows graphic design and she can figure out how to clone, stamp, maneuver, distort, all that good stuff. So it still looks really, really good and fits in all the right sizes. The next product was a silk scrunchie. I'm super excited about this one because I just love a scrunchie. I love a really pretty scrunchie. So this is pulling artwork from, the pattern of the fabric is the artwork. And here is the model. Similar to my hair texture, thick, coarse, a lot of it. So I'm excited to see how this will actually look in real life with different hair textures, with different thickness, thin, and even the colors of hair. You know, yellow, blonde, red, brown, brunette. I think it's just going to be a really pretty statement piece. And also, you know, even if you wear your scrunchies on your wrist, it's going to be a really nice little sign off, little detail. So those were the products that used the painting, the original painting. Now I knew I wanted to also create some apparel, and when I was practicing and figuring out the mock-ups, the apparel just wasn't looking as good with this painting. I also ran into the issue of I didn't know how it would print and if it would look pixelated and distorted because of the PPI, the pixels per inch. I didn't want it to be stretched out to accommodate all of the fabric, and then it looks grainy and gross. You know, so there was just a weird balance of like, do I stick with this painting, which is beautiful, but I lose the integrity of the art? Also, how many people are actually wearing all of these colors all at once? 1 or 2 of the colors? Yes. All of these colors? Not very often. It's not a thing. especially for the millennials. We love our grays, beiges, and grays, blacks, and whites. We love our neutrals. So it's nice to have a little bit of color, but nobody's wearing all these colors all at once. I just know it. Email me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure nobody's wearing all at once. So I started writing, using my handwriting to see if that would work out. And I did different fonts for the reference. This is a Playfair display. The one below it is Open Sans. Those are the two main fonts for Mercy Creates and the branding. But you just never know when it comes to apparel design and printing which one is going to work best. And for the dimension space that I had, I knew that the sans serif would work better. And an extra weight, making sure that the space between the letters was a lot. Is it tracking? Kerning? No, horizontal scale. Tracking. I always get tracking and kerning confused, but the tracking needed to be thick enough because the tracking needed to be large enough because when you get into smaller letters, your eye has a hard time distinguishing the spaces between it. There we go. So these were all based off of what I wrote over here. So I wasn't sure if this was going to be used anywhere else, but I wanted to make sure I pulled out the phrases, the key phrases from the verse, and that's my handwriting. Scanned it, tried to work it in. It was okay. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I tried my best. You know, sometimes that's what it takes, is you just try and then figure it out. So instead I went to a font. This is not Playfair display. This is actually Mencken Stood Narrow. It's a nice, I thought it was a nice font. I used it in a previous project for a classic Hollywood, old black and white type vintage vibe. And that's kind of what I wanted to go for when it comes to the graphic design part of this collection. I wanted to feel a little bit older and also revisiting with the new. Just that balance between the two. So I settled on, I wasn't sure about the phrases, but I settled, okay. Sorry if you can hear the studio dogs. Trying to go over new proposals, apparently. So I settled on the phrase, the old has gone, the new has come. And that, instead of putting new creation. So that was this is the main one that I used for the sweatshirts, for the Crewnecks. The old is gone, and new creation was going to be in smaller areas. You'll see I designed a corduroy cap that had the new creation. I wanted everything to be in embroidery for this one. So there's certain guidelines that you have to think of when you're doing an embroidery, and that's, you know, thick enough, thick lines. So everything's in that black or extra bold. Everything's a little bit more stretched to accommodate the machine and the needles. So here's the corduroy cap, new creation, Mercy Creates on the back. And then here on the side, it has the reference, because I always want to be able to give the reference and keep the reference on an item if possible when it comes to like apparel, or, you know, if it's a phrasing or something. I don't want it to just, you know, be a standalone phrase when it's like, well, what does that mean? You know, new creation, that's cool. That could mean anything. Well, I want you to be able to tie it back to what I'm trying to communicate with this collection, which is 2 Corinthians 5:17, the old is gone, the new creation has come. So the cap has the reference on it. And then here are the Crewnecks, developed, just two styles really, but with different colors. A lighter color scheme for all of the spring and summer girls, and then a darker color scheme for the winter and autumn girls. And you'll see that there's a white embroidery text option and a black embroidery text option. And my favorite, which is the tone on tone option. And it's only available in the white and the black. So it's white embroidery, white thread, white sweatshirt, black thread, black sweatshirt. And my favorite detail about this is that on the sleeve, here's the rest of the verse. The new has come. And that's on the right sleeve. For most, I know that's the dominant hand. Sorry, lefties, I had to make a decision. So with the sweatshirt, it's going to be, you know, you have the phrase right here, if that's the conversation starter. It's not just, oh, the old is gone, the old is past. You can also reference it here on your sleeve. Yes, the old is gone and the new has come. It's in two different spots. I don't think you can tell here. Maybe you can. Yeah, here we go. In the tag, it also has the reference. So that's it for this collection. So far, for all the products, for the concept, how I created the art, how I modified the art, how I started applying it to the different products. I'm really excited about it. I think this is the next big step for Mercy Creates and figuring out what to do, what to put my energies towards, and I'm really excited to share this with you guys. In the next video, I'm hoping to share some more about the behind the scenes of the marketing concept and the branding and the styling of how I want to showcase these products on the web, in the store, in the newsletters, in the shop, on social media, because I had big ideas for that too. So thanks for joining me, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. See you later.